And the birth was planned. My parents were forced to move down to this area for the reason that the High Council is down here, which is, there are 6 councils of 13 in this country, and the High Council is down here.
We're talking the United States?
The United States, yes. And so from the time that I was a baby, I was being abused and traumatized, and on purpose, for the mind control that they need someone to go through to do whatever they say, to be as just a puppet in that they can control every move. And you don't remember, I didn't remember a lot of things, because I have, as a result of all of this mind control, split off many parts that all hold memories, hold feelings, hold programs, hold information, and I've been working very hard to pull all of that up. And it's been a long, slow process for me, because there don't seem to be a lot of people in the field that I only felt was the only way I could go was psychiatric and psychological. They don't seem to know what is really going on, and I believe that a lot of them are afraid of being sued should they suggest something. And so they cannot lead or suggest, and it's been a process of me having to trigger myself to remember, and be around people that can help me with that can't really be touched by the False Memory Syndrome Foundation.
So what happened? You say you were abused as a child as part of this compartmentalizing of your mind. What went on after that, as you got older?
Well, they start with wanting to make you an obedient slave at first, and so they do a lot of sensory deprivation, they do a lot of sensory overload, and they switch between the two, and they do out-and-out torture. They take a small child and they electroshock. In my case, it was electroshock to the brain, and they would take away my chance to sleep. They kept me awake for many hours at night, would not let me sleep. And I was also told things, as this was before the age of 5, I was told things such as, they would make me drink water, and they would say, if you pass here and you're going to have to drink it. And they would make me drink it. And if you have bowel movement, you're going to have to eat the feces, which is also what happened to me. And then they would play, there was a programmer that was programming me, a very infamous person in history, who actually has been in this country, and he was known as Dr. Green. Who he actually was Dr. Mengele, Joseph Mengele, from the concentration camps in Germany, and he stayed a lot at China Lake Naval Weapons Station out here in Southern California, in the desert area. And I would be around this man a lot, and he used to tell me that the scar that he had on the left cheek of his face was actually from, he was into fencing, and that it was from that, but actually the scar on his cheek was from one of his own programming techniques, that he would put a child in a box and with a sword and tell the child to defend the box. even if it meant his own death, then he'd tell another child to break into the box, and which this child would do, and then the other child would then jump out of the box and shove the sword or the lance straight through the other child. And at one point he got into it where this child actually got him in the face with the sword. And he would wear a huge emerald ring on his left hand on this middle finger, and he would twist this emerald around and for programming, and he was into using long-colored ribbons of different colors, and you had to choose a certain ribbon, or you were given a certain ribbon, and that meant that this certain thing was going to happen to you. And it was like picking sticks out, or drawing sticks out of a hand, out of someone's hand. I saw games of Russian roulette played where it was chosen beforehand that a child would die, and the child would put the gun up to his head and pull the trigger, and this child would end up dying. But it was meant to scare all of us, keep us in terror, as there were many other children that were around me that went through the same thing. I have run into people from my childhood that have known me, and I've recognized their names, and even if they change their names and change their hair color, as I have done, they have recognized me, or I have recognized them, and I know their name. They know my name. There isn't any way for this to have happened. It's just beyond coincidence. And when you get older, I mean, they start taking, this programmer in particular, Mengele, would take me to rituals. I went to rituals with him all over this country, and in Britain, and in France, and it was known by intelligence agencies in this country that this man was here. They brought him here.
Is that Project Paperclip you're talking about?
Yeah. Through the OSS. And my family, or my so-called family, are all DID. They have not. They are very well programmed, and they have not sought help. They have not gone in, tried to figure out what's happened. They believe they've had this certain kind of life that they've had, and as far as they are concerned, I am crazy. And they have much different memories of what I have, and I was always told certain things by my parents that my sisters were never told. And biologically, I have to add at this point that my mother is my mother. I am not biologically related to my father. And this has to do with the bloodlines, and his was considered impure. And this is all about purity of the bloodline. And that is why I am involved in this. There are people that are involved in this that it is not so much because of bloodline, but they have the ability to dissociate and be used as slaves by these people.
You say that you come from a certain bloodline, and there is this obsession with bloodlines that this Brotherhood Illuminati have. Why is that? Because
what first started coming out was about the Aryans, and the purity of the blood. And what it's all about is that the blood, and the menstrual blood, contains something that is important for the propagation of this race that is controlling things on this planet. and these